Good morning and welcome to the 5th edition of Calaveras Grown Live. We're here at the Mangini Olive Ranch, ready to tour their olive processing facility and check out what they have to offer. They have really beautiful award-winning olive oil and are very interesting, energetic people. So we're looking forward to taking a tour of their olive processing facility. Whoop. And I'll just kill the car a little bit on the way. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Hi, good to see you. Thank you. Hi, I'm Wade.
Alan.
Good to meet you, Alan.
As far as the cell service goes, the further we go into the building, it gets a little bit worse.
Okay.
And then there's a few spots around here because the cell tower is actually right over there.
Yeah.
But other than that, it pretty much works. Like in the orchard and stuff like that, it all works.
Okay. Well, what do you tell us what you guys are up to here?
So how this works is it's live the whole time. So right now it's being broadcast out to the world to Facebook. It could be up to 1,000 people, hopefully. And it's the more we can stay within the cell zones as we kind of
This is a good
flow
spot.
around then.
Okay.
Or if you could think of your tour, if it cuts out for a little bit, it'll post it back up on there.
Okay.
But if we could just try to stay in service and then,
Okay, I'll tell
yeah.
you when we kind of cross
Okay,
over, 'cause there's
cool.
parts of it that we will cross over. So, well, welcome to Mangini Ranch. I'm Chris and this is Alan. And this is our olive orchard and this is our olive mill where we make the world's best olive oil.
The best in the United States.
Yeah, best in the United States.
You can't say the world yet? Not yet. Okay.
Although we did win international
We've got gold
competition
medal
also.
against the northern hemisphere and gold medal in the southern hemisphere.
Nice.
So, best of class in the state, and gold in the state, and also best in America. So we're pretty happy with our results so far.
So we've been growing our olives for, over about 10 years. We got part of our orchard that was planted in 18 mill for some other growers here in Calaveras County. So that makes it kind of fun. It's kind of a community thing. So that's really our primary goal, is to do the very best we can with our trees and pick our olives. And as soon as they're picked and put in the bins, we bring them right into the mill room and start processing them.
Awesome.
We've been as close as get it off the tree, get it into the mill, and in 4 hours we got oil.
Wow.
So we usually only pick what we're going to mill today. So we'll say, well, we're going to do 2 ton today. Well, then we'll pick 2 ton and stop picking, and then run it through rapidly. Show up with my 1,600 pounds. Well, then I just sit in line until he's done. And so there's a lot of people, the smaller growers, we get hammered because they're going to do the stuff that makes them money because they can run continuously.
Right.
If we ran for you, and then I was going to run for
As we
her.
have.
Yeah.
Then we stop and clean the machine, so every time you go in, it's only your stuff that's in there. You're not getting mixed with anybody. So
Nice.
that's why a lot of the big millers don't do that. They can't afford to do it, so.
And how long have you had this facility here?
We installed this in 2015.
Nice.
Yeah. And prior to 2015 is when we were going to the other producers, which did a great job, and we learned a lot from them, and they help us. Even when we were building our mill room, they gave us pointers and told us various things to do. So that's one of the good things about the olive oil community. And we belong to a group called the California Olive Oil Council, where we all get together and share best practices and things that didn't work so well. So that's one of the good things about our industry, is people do share a lot of information.
Nice.
Shabika is the oldest olive processing family in California. They've been doing it for generations. Maybe this is the third or fourth generation. And if I call him, leave a message with, you know, Penny down there, in 20 minutes he'll call me back. And, you know, he's been here. He used to own that orchard at one time. So if I call him and tell him, you know, I need this or that, or we need to trade parts, you know, that always, you know, top of the line kind of guy.
Sweet.
So
Cool.
would you like to see how we,
We'd love to.
so after we pick them, they come in like a bin right over there. We put it on this scale here and we weigh it. And then this is Alan's room, so I'll let him tell you about this room. When you cross over to my room, the cell service gets a little shady, so Wade, when you come in, if you stand over by Aldora, show you, the cell service works pretty good.
Okay.
All right? So I'll turn it over to Alan, I'll turn on some lights for you
Okay,
guys.
so the bin would come in, and there's probably 800 to 1,000 pounds generally in one of those bins. And I have a bin down where I take it up with a forklift, and the raw fruit gets dumped into this hopper.
Okay.
And then the leaves and grass and everything that's involved in it, once it's running, the conveyor takes it up, and that's a big vacuum, and it just sucks all the leaves and sticks and everything out of it and takes it out of the building.
Okay.
After that, it would,
So then we got just pretty much only olives now, but they still got stems on them?
sure.
Yeah.
And leaves,
Okay, some leaves. Yeah.
it's called mood, material other than olives.
Okay.
So the less of that you have, the better off you are. But then it comes down into here, and this has got a slant to it, and this is filled with water, and the water recycles and it washes them.
Okay.
And it's slanted because sometimes you get rocks and there'll be a piece of a fence or a piece of chain link or something in it. It's heavy, so it stays here. The olives bubble along. It's like a little jacuzzi. It runs along. They fall onto this. They get a final rinse, and they drop down into here. And there's a stainless steel auger. All of this is stainless. So the auger takes them up into and puts it into the hammer mill over there.
Okay.
And so they don't really, we don't crush olives, we turn them into paste, just mush. Looks like oatmeal when it's done.
With the hammer mill.
With a hammer mill.
Yep. After they've been in the jacuzzi.
After the,
sprayed
they
off
get a
with
little
the
hot, they
flour.
get a little jacuzzi experience before
Nice.
they annihilate them.
After hanging on the tree all summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, and then it goes into there, and this is the USDA certified clean room, and Chris is the miller, so she does it. I'm just on the pit crew.
Okay.
This is my job out here, you know.
Nice.
So in here, and a lot of times our friend Mike Phelps helps us out a lot, so Mike and I work in this room here. So in that corner over there, Wade, is probably your best shot for cell service. So as Alan says, it comes up this stainless steel conveyor belt. It's just a screw that goes like this, and it pushes the olives up, and they come into this hammer mill right here. And inside here is a big stainless steel grid, and it's got little holes in it. When we vary those size of holes, oddly enough, we go to smaller holes the riper it is, because you don't want to pulverize the olive and what have you. Anyway, after it comes in here, it goes, drops into the hammer mill, and it turns into the oatmeal mush like Alan talked about. And it comes into this machine here, which is called a malaxer. It's got a double tank on it, and it's got blades that turn really slowly. The whole purpose of the malaxer is to encourage like molecules to join together. So the fat molecules, those good ones we're looking for, kind of group up. And then the more solid molecules that we don't want anymore, they remain together. And olive oil is lighter than water or any of the paste, so it'll come up to the top. In this process, you can be in here anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 hours. The longer you're in here, the more olive oil you get. We do not mill for quantity, we mill for quality. So we really try to keep it in here somewhere in the 15 to 30 minute range. And every year we get a little less, a little less.
Okay.
Quality goes up, so that's all good.
Nice.
And you don't want any air contact in here, because in the first 20 minutes of the process in here, the first part of it, that's when all the aromas of the olive oil get made. So if you were to open this up during that time frame, you're going to compromise your aromas. So that's why we have a little piece of glass here that we can look into and kind of monitor how those molecules are joining up together inside the malaxer.
Do you ever have the urge to open the Malaxer? I mean, kind of like opening the oven, even though you shouldn't.
Well, I have gone like this.
You
But
can,
I wait at least 20 minutes.
this has lights in it, so
Okay.
you can turn the lights on and
And
it'll
you'll
be
see
obvious
there.
because the oil,
Yeah.
you'll see the oil start to develop and it'll be on top of the paste that's in there.
And it is amazing the different smells you get off of the different varietals.
Huh.
I mean, it's kind of like wine. You can go from a Chardonnay to a Zinfandel. Olives are the same thing. There's over 1,000 varietals. We have over 100 in California. We have 5 different varieties just here. And each one of them smells differently and tastes differently too.
Yeah, excited.
Anyway, as soon as this is ready here, we've got a hose that normally comes across here, and we're going to transfer the paste into our first separator here. And so this is going to go at about 7,000 RPMs. By the way, this machine's called a baby. It's from Italy. It came over on a boat, and that's called a cucciolo, which means baby in Italian. So
Okay.
just to get an idea, that's why we're a small producer. This is called a baby machine.
It's the puppy.
The puppy.
Cucciolo.
Yeah, I call it baby. You're right, it's the puppy. Anyway, in here there's 2 drums that spin at various speeds, and what its purpose is to separate the oil from all the waste. And the oil is going to come out and drop in here, and this is a vibrating table that vibrates pretty good. If there's any little pits that come out, it's going to vibrate it and put it into a bucket down there. But most of the waste is going to go out the back, and I'll tell you more about that when we get down there further.
So the oil's coming out of these stainless steel exhaust pipe
Yeah,
things?
the oil actually comes out of this one, and if there's any little pits that get by, that's what drops out of here and shakes its way down
I see.
the end there.
Nice. And
So-
then you get the oil in this hopper.
Yes. And then we constantly pump it because we don't want it sitting there too long, because remember, one of our goals is to minimize any contact with oxygen.
Yeah.
And I should have also told you that this whole process in here is temperature controlled. You need to be under 86 degrees to be extra virgin olive oil. We've been milling at 78 or below. Again, that impacts our quantity a little bit, but it increases the bitterness, the pungency, keeps the free fatty acids down, so we try to maintain the temperature way down. And by the time it's gone through all these centrifuges, you got to be careful because automatically the equipment kind of heats it up a little bit. So when the oil comes out here, and we're temperature checking everything, because I'm going to transfer it now up to this tank here, which is a split tank. And in the back is the olive oil, and in the front is clean, fresh water. I need this water to be in a couple degrees, within a couple degrees of my olive oil. Because if it's too cold or too hot, bad things happen. And so what I do is I run a fine stream of water out of here. I mean a very, very small stream, and my olive oil is coming out of here. Now this is a cleaning process because we're not filtering. And inside here are 69 stainless steel cones with little holes in them, kind of like the way you make cream.
Okay.
And this spins at about 7,500 RPMs. And it takes the water and it spins it through the cones really fast, and it's going to drop the oil in this container.
Right.
The waste again drops into here. Now back to finishing off the waste. So this waste comes into here, this waste comes into here, and it all goes out this pipe, and we pump it into an area out there, and then when the pH settles down and you compost it, what have you, you just throw it all back in the orchard. So everything that comes in here never leaves the orchard.
Right.
If it doesn't go into the cold room, it stays in here. So once the olive oil comes out here, we put it in stainless steel containers. And then we put it in the room where we keep it at 63 degrees, no light, no nothing, 365 days a week. And we usually bottle real time to take to the farmer's market, or if we're, where we're selling at, like Marvell's or Provisions or one of those places we sell at.
Great. So I've always wondered about what extra virgin and virgin olive oil is. So can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, extra virgin olive oil in California, because we belong to the California Olive Council, so California Olive Council has the strictest standards in the entire world. So first off, know that if you buy California certified olive oil, you're going to buy the best olive oil there is in the world because we have the strictest standards. So first and foremost, your free fatty acids have to be under a .5. We usually run about a .02, .03. And then there's a whole other set of chemical parameters that you have to be under a certain amount, like peroxide values and what have you. A lot of those are making sure that you're going to have an adequate shelf life. And then lastly, you have to pass a sensory panel analysis. So you could pass all the chemical analysis, but if you open that and ruin your aromas, or you got it a little too hot, these professional tasters that have been doing it for over 10 years will pick that up. And
They
you
can
can't,
taste it or smell
if you
it.
have a single defect in your sensory analysis, you fail.
So then it can't be sold under that label.
Right, then you have to.
Once you get certified,
Yeah.
you can put this on your label.
Right.
And so anybody that goes to buy oil, if they see this on the label, then you know that not only has the chemical analysis has been done, but the organoleptic, you know, the sniff and smell and taste test. They certify you as an extra virgin olive oil.
Nice.
So look for that on your bottle. That's California Olive Oil Council.
Great.
And then I should mention also, although it's not a requirement, one of the reasons that people value olive oil as much as they do are for the polyphenols, because that's where you get all the health benefit from. And I didn't mention, but when I was talking about quickly going through the malaxer and maintaining the lower temperature, the other added benefit that you get from doing that is you get higher polyphenols. So anything over about 400 polyphenols is considered high, and our olive oil ranges between 500 and just slightly under 900 polyphenols in the various varietals that we have. And it does vary a little bit by varietals, but still, if you can keep it cool and keep the process quick, you'll get the best of the best benefit from that.
Nice. Well, this is an exciting setup. And Ken, I mean, your olive oil is delicious. We've,
Thank you.
Of course, used it on everything. So, and where can we find your olive oil if we right now?
Okay, so locally here in Calaveras County, we have it at Marvell's, Provisions, which is that new great store that just opened up, at the Health Habit, and then in Sacramento we sell it at 40 Brothers, in the the Farmer's Wife Farmer's Market in Carmichael.
Yeah.
And then we participate in the certified farmers markets that we have here in Calaveras County. And then we generally do a lot of events.
Nice.
So, in just kind of local communities, I'd say within about a 100-mile radius.
Yeah. Cool. And pretty soon, hopefully, you'll put it up on our the barn to door that Calaveras.
Already signed up for it.
Nice.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Yeah.
We really appreciate all that Calaveras Grown has done for us. It's really made a big difference.
Well, thanks. Well, it's great to have producers and processors like you who clearly care about what you're doing, and it really shows in the product. Should we go out and see the orchard?
Sure.
So you said that part of it was planted, did you say 1888?
Yes.
Wow.
That's our pumice pile,
Okay.
and all of that brown stuff that kind of looks like dirt are what was left from the pits and everything else. And so there's a pile there, and that's been sitting long enough where we can go put it back in the orchard now. It comes out a little pH hot, and if it ran out and hit the trees, it would kill them. They just take them out right now.
So how long do you have to let that sit before the...
We usually, because I'll take the leaves and everything in there and we'll compost it and we'll roll it a couple times, generally a year.
Okay.
And I'll just wait a year, I'll wait till the next season and then
Right.
scrape it all out.
These olive trees that are scattered about here were originally the ones that came from 1888, but the orchard's actually back there in the back a little bit.
So I guess this must have been an olive region. I mean, this is a place where people planted olives back in the
Yeah.
late 1800s.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, in the 30s, Calaveras was a primary provider for olives for the canning industry. And
Calaveras is actually the epicenter of olives in California.
yeah,
Okay.
And I think now that Corning kind of stole it away from us, but if you If you could fly over Calaveras County, you'll see squares of 12 by 12, 144 trees, 12 by 12, and there's just tons of them all over the county. In the book that Sal Manna wrote, he does a lot about, olives. He's got a book just on the olives.
Yep.
Yeah. And Tara Bedoin, which is up on Double Springs, is, he's a primary, I guess you call it jarring now.
Uh-huh.
He makes excellent olives. So he's got a whole process that he does for canning or jarring the olives. He makes a bunch of great varietals. Most of the other farmers we know around here actually make olive oil with it now. About 10, 12 years ago, olive oil started becoming very popular in California and the United States. Before that, it was more of a European thing. But as it's really grown in popularity, so have a lot of people have older orchards like we do, and they're all restoring them and making great olive oil with them.
Nice. And are these varieties that are specific to California, or where did they bring this variety
So
from?
this first one we're going to show you is called a Pascual, and it's actually a Spanish olive. And we planted these in 2013. And so that's what this part of our orchard is right here. So you can see these are still our little baby trees. And we are trying to grow all of our trees. You can grow an olive tree just two ways, single trunk or multi-trunk. And when we first planted, we were thinking, what do we want, multi-trunk or single trunk? Well, we're out in our big orchard, and it's so much easier to prune a multi-trunk, we decided to go multi-trunk.
You can climb up in it. There's something
Oh,
to
right,
stand
yeah.
on. If you got to go up and get something, there's a place to stand while you're up there, So.
And when you look through, you should be able to see birds fly through. That's the secret. But if you look at our trees, actually, we'll go up a little further where the bigger ones are. It's easier to see.
And each varietal is different. The Mission olive oil, they call it California Mission. I think originally they were a Spanish that came with whoever, but they've been in California so long they've developed almost their own genetics, so they call them a California Mission.
Okay.
And we have a hybrid peacholine that's called a Redding peacholine, and it's kind of native to California. The Manzanillo is another Spanish. Peacholine, I think, was originally from France.
It looks like they're just starting to lose their...
Yes.
They are there. You
Yeah, I
can
was
see
going to
now
show you
they've
the
got
picture we had in there.
the fruit starting to develop on them.
And as you can see, if you look inside here, the way we prune this tree, it's almost like a tulip. So we're trying to establish the main branches here for the multi-trunk. And then if you open it up when we prune them, that's how we do it. We go all the way to the inside and you take out all the inside. Because the more light that your olives can get, the better, more healthy that they'll be in the end.
Okay. So there is a percentage of light that's good for them. So if you open it up, then the sun gets in the middle, gets on the outside, gets everywhere.
And as you can see, the blooms, they started blooming a few weeks ago, and they're just now, right here, you see the baby olives?
Right, little tiny
Yep,
olives.
so we got little baby olives there. Now we did get 1.5 inches of rain last week, and then we got some pretty hard rain. We have not determined yet what the impact of that was, because it was right at the time when our blossoms are turning into olives. So we're hoping that it wasn't too much of a negative impact. They were loaded with blooms though, so we'll see.
Olive trees also are cyclical in nature. So you'll have a good year and then an off year and then a good year and then a not so good year. So this is a not so good year cycle for us. That's just the nature of the beast. That's why they call it farming and not banking.
Right. And I don't see any irrigation here. Do you guys irrigate them
It'll
at all?
come out now.
Actually, for the baby trees, we do put a drip on them.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for the rain coming last week, we would have put it on last week. But because we got 1.5 inches rain, we'll probably do it later this week. But olive trees do not require very much water. So we only water them twice a week and only for about an hour each, unless we get, a spell of like 5 days over 100, which we can get here.
Right.
But we're very conservative on the water. Water is the #1 thing that can kill an olive tree.
Okay, too much water.
Too much water, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
If you kill an olive tree, you shouldn't have any living plant in your house.
Right. Yeah.
But the other thing that you can do, which we do down here that's not up there, those trees are about 25 feet apart. These are 30. So they're all contending for the same water. So we spread these out a little bit so that whatever moisture is in the ground and whatever nutrients are in the ground, they have a fighting chance. So
Right.
we're a little further apart with these because there's not much water in Wallace.
Right.
So when we planted these, we moved them out a little.
Which is also a difference if you were to go up to Corning where you have more high production type growth.
Yep.
A lot of them are doing high density growth.
Mm-hmm.
So they almost look like grapes. You plant them on a wire. The big advantage is obviously the number one expense in making olive oil is the harvest.
Right.
I mean, if you have a machine harvest, then it really turns things around. The problem is the machine's a little rough on the olives, so you got to be careful with that. Also, when you machine harvest olive trees, they have a tendency to need to be replaced in about 15 years. And I mean, can you imagine, our trees were planted in 1888. There's trees in Israel that are over 3,000 years old. They don't want to be machine harvested.
Right.
So that's why, to Alan's point, we try to keep them apart. They can get lots of sun, and we hand pick these anyway.
But do you think so? Less water in the soil and not much irrigation, that seems to probably help you produce a high quality olive oil.
Yes, and I also think that's why back in the 30s and even before that in the late 1800s, our condition here in Calaveras is a great olive growing condition because of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're a good bad soil crop.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have much water and you're going to plant olive trees, they'll be all right. They're like Chris said, though, the thing that hurts them the most is the water. So if you have hard pan or shale down there and the water pockets, you'll notice there's a place every once in a while where they're missing. There's hard pan down there, the water collected and it killed the tree. So you just have to be a little careful.
Okay, shall we continue? Almond trees.
This all used to be almonds this year. When we bought the property, I bought a little bit of this, another 4 acres, so I could put my house up there, and I took about 140 or 50 trees out. They're pretty much gone, but they still blossom, and the guy that owns them up on the hill there likes to see the pink blossom.
Okay.
And they're good bee food.
Yeah.
I tried to talk him into letting me piece that out and plant olives,
Right.
but he said, I don't want to work. I'm not asking you to work.
He just wants to see it
He
blossom.
likes it. Well, I think it's pretty.
Yeah.
The other thing we didn't talk about is I told you about water, the watering situation with olives, but the other thing you got to really look out for is fruit flies. So there's a very particular varietal of fruit flies, and what they do when the olives start to form and get a little softer as they ripen, the fruit flies sting it and plant a larva inside there. So you can imagine that doesn't taste good. So we do two things here to manage our fruit fly. We have traps that we put out all over the place. There's already a couple up, and I'm in the process of putting them all out now. And there's some yeast in those traps, and it attracts the fruit fly, and then you know if you have them. Now, if you only have a few, you can manage them with that. And if you start to get too many, though, you have to spray. And there's a spray called GF120 that's approved for use in an organic orchard. And you just spray like a dot on a tree, and it neutralizes fruit fly by killing the male.
Okay.
And that's how you manage it. Hopefully you don't have to spray but more than a couple times a year, but your traps will tell you that.
So these are kind of indicators to see what the population of fruit flies
Yeah,
is.
there's a great debate on whether or not you can actually manage fruit flies with the traps. What we've seen is if you keep up on your traps, if you don't get too many, then you can manage. And just like Alan said, olives are alternating. It seems like the fruit flies are a little bit too.
Okay.
So you don't want to use a GF120 if you don't have to, because they can become immune to it.
And it's very expensive.
Oh, yeah, besides that. But there's some people, and they've been giving us updates through the California Olive Council that are working on alternatives to GF 120. So,
Okay.
okay, so these are our trees that were planted in 1888. As you can see, we're always in the process of pruning. We prune 365 days a year. And we're changing how we prune a little bit. We used to try to prune the whole orchard. Now we're going to try to do a third and a third, a third at varying degree of pruning to see if we can manage what Alan was talking to you about in that alternating. You know, so they're not such extreme alternating between the two years. And as you can see, we're getting ready now to start on all the suckers, because the more you prune, the more suckers you get.
Right.
So that's what we're getting ready to do now. But
Yeah.
this is the orchard up here that was planted in 1888.
Beautiful.
You can also see I've got some standpipes up with water, so we'll water these. And I'll water them a row, and then skip a row, and then I'll get down to the other end, and when I come back I'll do one I skip, so I hit. But
So
it
we do
takes-
just a little support watering on these
yeah,
trees.
Not
Yeah.
much. They don't need a whole lot, but it's just enough to kind of keep them happy.
Yep.
And these are mostly, this is where we have the Mission, the Picholine, and the Manzanillo. And olives are olives have pollinators. So the Picholine, which is a really sweet olive oil, is the pollinators for all the other ones that we have here. So we've got all our trees marked and identified on a map so that when we pick them, we keep the like varietals separate.
Sweet. You can tell a Picholine from a Mission olive, just the size.
Okay.
And if you bust it a little bit, it's red, looks like a grape. I mean, it's just the paste is red, everything comes out red. It's just,
Except
the
the
oil,
oil.
Smaller
the
or
oil
larger?
comes out
Smaller.
green.
Smaller. Okay.
Yeah, a little tiny.
And you know, that's another thing, you can never judge olive or oil content. I mean, we get these really big olives that only have 30% olive content. Then you get that little baby Picholine, it's like 70%.
Oh, so it can be small and still have just as
Can't
much
judge
oil.
it by its size. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or the color. You'd be surprised, but my olives are turning black. It's time to harvest. You cut them open, and they're still at a maturity level of a 3. Up to like 7 or 8. So you get one that's black and it's a 3, and you get one that's green and it's at a 4.
Okay.
So you can't tell. So we sample the olives that come. We'll go take 50, 70, 100 off of a tree, cut them open, and we'll do, okay, these are ready to go. Those aren't ready to go. So you can't judge a book by its cover or the olive by its color.
And except for one new varietal, all olives start out green and turn black
Okay.
over time. And like Alan was saying on the maturity, you want to get right in that 3 to 5 spot, kind of in the middle, just as, we finally see when they start to turn a little purplish, it's time to harvest. Now the Pequal's a little bit sooner than that, so it varies a little bit by varietal, but
Okay.
and the earlier you harvest, the more hardy the oil. So some people like a softer one, so we do a later harvest, like in December.
And you'll
We
get
generally
the high
start in October.
polyphenols early in the year.
Yeah.
If you wait till December, you get a very soft, buttery oil with very little polyphenols. So the more bitterness, pungency, and that's in there, generally the better the olive oil is for you.
Okay. That's good to know. Well, thank you so much for this tour of the Mangini Ranch.
Thank you.
Super informative. And again, you can find their products at local markets. Do you guys have a web?
And we have a website, and
Yeah.
we do ship.
Okay, so you can find this amazing award-winning olive oil, and clearly Chris and Alan know their stuff about olives and olive oil and growing olive trees. So thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.